Welcome to A Canadian Investing in the U.S., a podcast and YouTube channel focused on Canadians buying real estate with host Glenn Sutherland.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of A Canadian Investing in the U.S. This week, my guest is Dani Beit Or. Dani, let's start off by giving everyone kind of an introduction to yourself, and we'll jump into it.
Well, Glenn, good morning. Happy birthday. Thank you for
we're actually recording this on my birthday. I still work on my birthday.
Appreciate you making time for me on your birthday. So thanks for the opportunity. I'm originally from Israel. I was born and raised in Israel. Grew up in Israel. Went to the 3 years mandatory service in the Israeli Special Forces. Got my engineering degree in Israel. And about 18 years ago, I decided to move to the US for the sake of real estate. What pulled me really over was I wanted to immerse myself in the US real estate investing. Truly, that was the trigger. I started investing while having my engineering degree, engineering first and second engineering job in the Israeli high tech.
Yeah.
I started saving money. And after kind of playing around with stocks and options and seeing this is not a good fit for me, I started buying a property and then to other small syndications, membership in US properties. Not something big in terms of money, but that was my jump into the pool. And I just found that this is, I'm passionate about it, more about this than my own job. Which I did like my job, but this was more exciting in many, many, many ways. And 2 years after starting investing from Israel in the US, we decided that we want to move to the US. And my goal was, in order to be really good with investing, I need to be in investing, immerse myself, deal with it, work in it, and not just sit on the sideline. I didn't want to be a passive investor sitting on the sideline. Not that anything wrong with it, but that's not what I wanted for me because I fell in love with the field, with the category.
Awesome. So did I hear that right? When you first started, you started while you're still in Israel before you moved to the US? How was that? How did that go?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So after saving a little bit of money and doing some stocks and options for about 2 years, I was on a path. I was on an obsessive path because I realized as an individual, a young individual, say in Israel, everything is delayed 3 to 4 years because of the military, right? Like compared to other countries. So My adult life, I got my engineering degree. I started school at 21-ish, which is very common in Israel because of the military. And then I finished when I was 25. But already when I was getting my engineering degree and starting to work after getting my degree, I felt that I am real life economics illiterate. I have a degree in economics, right? Macro and micro and balance sheets, absolutely, which I actually enjoyed in school. But in real life, pensions, retirement, what am I paying for? This was horrible to say the least. And I decided that I need to put myself on a path to teach myself real life, economics. I also felt that the path that I'm on, getting degree, starting to work in the high tech, starting to put all those crazy hours as well, I didn't like that. I mean, I saw my parents, I saw my uncles, my parents' friends, my older cousins. They're all good work ethics, but they're working hard, long and hard hours, missing on social stuff and family stuff. And 10, 15, 20 years in, what do they have? An apartment or a condo with a mortgage, or maybe a little house with a mortgage, right? For 15 years of hard work, that
did
not make sense. I could not, compute that into my mind and saying, what is off here? And kind of that was a trigger to start looking for something. I didn't know what I was looking for, but I knew the answer that I have in front of me is not an answer I'm willing to accept. And that led me to real estate. And that actually led me to US real estate. I bought my first home, completely sight unseen, $128,000 home in a nice suburb of Phoenix, from the builder, sight unseen. Glenn, I don't know if you remember, Google was a startup that was 2002. Google was considered a startup. There were no Google Maps, no Zillow, no Redfin, no Trulia, no public records online. MapQuest was MapQuest was like big deal then, right?
I remember having the triptych from CAA or AAA when you flip each page to go through
a
manual map.
Stop! It's frightening.
My kids will never understand.
Yeah, exactly. So that's how I got started. I bought it completely sight unseen. And when I was under contract, I arranged through my job a trip to the US to visit my sister, to visit, to go to one of our job sites. So I took the time and flew to Phoenix, right? So I hop on the plane from the East Coast just to see where is Phoenix, because I knew on MapQuest I could find it, but it was really not trivial for me. So it felt good to go and see where the lot that your house will be built on. It was only a lot, not even property, or see other houses nearby. It was reassuring. It was building the confidence, but it was still, it felt more like a hobby than a serious business.
So so you're doing this all the way from Israel. You did go and see it, but they're building it like ground up, right from the lot. Were you having, for these first ones, were you having to finance this completely cash, or could you get any sort of loans at all?
I could, at the time, there were loans available to foreigners. Almost certain was 25% down, 75% mortgage, and that's how we purchased. If I had to bring all cash, I would not have been able to do that. So much so, in order to buy it as well, I didn't have enough for the down payment. The down payment and closing was $25,000. That's what we needed. I didn't have $25,000. I had 12,500 and change.
Halfway there.
Yeah, halfway there. What does it mean? I need a partner. I got a partner. My cousin, we grew up together, same age. I was also interested in those things. I convinced him. So we partner up. And I remember clearly, we were signing on the closing documents in one of the Tel Aviv high rises. And we signed the documents. We step away from the signing, technically buying, just bought a house that we've never seen, in a different country, different language, different everything, laws, regulation, culture. We go in the elevator, right? I think we're like on the 40-something floor. We look at each other, and he looks at me and is like, what have we just done here? It was just, we weren't intimidated, but we're like asking ourselves, there was a doubt, right? Because all of paper. And then I remember when he asked me that, I was kind of taking the trip down in the elevator. In my mind, I'm like, all right, Dani, here's a couple of things. In the bank, you have really nothing left, pretty much, maybe a few $100s. But I was 26 at the time. I had a job. The next salary is coming in maybe 2 weeks or something like that. I told myself, next salary is coming in any day, so to speak. So you're not out of the street. It's not like you've done something completely crazy. Second, if this was going to turn out horrific, because I know nothing, there's nothing around me, there's no Facebook groups, there's no investment clubs, there's no Glenn podcast on birthday kind of a thing.
Yeah, my podcast.
So I was really, it was very lonely as an investor at the time, especially in another country.
Mm-hmm.
I remember telling myself, if this will not work well, I have plenty of years to recover out of it because I'm young, right? So that was really important. To get to that point, I felt that what happened if the worst case happens, I'll be okay. Yeah. Not because I trust myself, that too, but because I'm young and I'm still have an income and I'm still employed and employable. So it wasn't like, oh my God, what have I done? And we were like going crazy. It was like, oh wow, what have we done? Okay, we'll be okay. And it actually turned out to be much better than okay.
So let's hear the rest of the story. How did this go?
So that house, which I bought in 2002 and closed in, I think, early 2003 for $128,000. I think I did my first refinance on it and pull cash out in 2004, late 2004, when it was probably doubled. So maybe it was already, sorry, maybe it was 2005, double. So from 120 to about 250, I did my first refinance. And then maybe a year later, it went to 300. I did my second refinance. I have to tell you that when I got one of the first refinances, I can't remember if it was the first or the second. I did the refinance and I received a check of the cash that I pulled out. Refinance, pulling cash out. And I got a check. I was at the office, young guy. I already made a few other investments, right? But it was only the beginning, right? It's not really, real estate wise, things are not, they're moving, but they're not like blowing up in any ways.
Yeah.
I'm just, oh, okay, you know, it's 3 houses, 4 houses, whatever. And I got this check, and it was $79,000 check made to me for my own refinance. I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. I'm looking at the $79,000 check. I wish I took a picture. I don't know why. And that blew my mind. That blew my mind. You know, what have I done? I mean, yes, I worked, and yes, and by the way, nothing came. There's no money coming from parents. Everything that I've accumulated over the years, even the $12,500 that I have, all from my own saving, my own work, my own grinding. It was not like you know, anything, you know, ended over. So I even went a few years, maybe 2 years before I started. I went to my dad and I wanted to do some creative financing deal with him on a house, basically on the apartment that we lived in. And he was like, dismissed me, like, what do you, get away, right? Yeah, so nothing like that. Yeah.
So you got some money out of this, from this refi. How does this story go? I'm assuming there's some more houses, there's some more stuff that goes. Some point you're moving to the US.
So 2004, when I did the refinance, I'm already in the US.
Yeah.
Right. This is 2004. So purchased 2002 and closed early 2003, I believe. 2004, I moved to the US in January. So it's exactly what, 19 years exactly.
Sorry to cut you off. I just got this in my head. So you did a construction loan, and then like construction loans are too, no, not to start. It was just a regular.
So my experience is, when you build your own home, you need a construction loan. If you're the developer behind it, so to speak, even if you use a builder. But when you go to almost any US suburb community where there's 1 or 2 builders that are building different models, you will drive in, you will see right at the gates 3, 4, 5 model homes. You pick which model you want, you pick which finishes, you pick a lot. That's all happened in one of those houses. It was converted into a sales office. You sign the documents, you pick a lot, you pick the model, you pick the finishes, you're done. You pay normally a deposit, many times non-refundable deposit of 5, 10, whatever could be 20,000, and then you wait. There's nothing going on in between. You just need to prep your mortgage. The next financial event that happens is closing. At closing, nothing is going to be paid in between. At closing is done. You know, you need the certificate of occupancy issued by the county. Then the builder can close. Sorry, the lender can close, and you own the house. So the next time money is needed is at closing. Then you need to bring the rest of the down payment. So let's say I needed 25 and I paid 5. I need an additional 20 for the down payment and closing. Lender comes in. So there's no. I've done other deals where you had the construction and then turn into a refinance. This was
gotcha. I get
very
it.
straightforward. Yeah, easy.
Anyway, sorry, I derailed you a little bit there.
all part of the conversation, right?
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, now you've done the refis. You're getting the next property. How's the rest of the story going?
Next properties.
Yeah.
That property bought me 4 more. So I bought 4 more.
So those next 4 were those new construction as well? When I started investing in the US, I did it by myself and had to go through the growing pains of doing that. GlennSutherland.com/coaching. A 12-week coaching program done 1 hour per week over Zoom from the comfort of your own home. Classes are kept to 5 people to be able to answer everyone's questions. Shortcut the process. Make fewer mistakes. Curriculum available at GlennSutherland.com/coaching. Or what do those look like?
Probably a mix. I think at the time, what I remember, it's been a while. There was one new construction in Fort Worth. There was one, that's also an interesting, I don't know, interesting but funny, good story. Maybe one of my best stories. There was another one I purchased in Orlando, and that's actually an interesting story because I bought that one in Orlando, East Orlando, for $190,000 in 2005, September of 2005. And then the crash came.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me put it in perspective. What I was doing day in, day out, besides investing myself, I was also helping others do the same.
Yeah.
So I've already, by the time the crash came, I had a bunch of properties myself, highly leveraged, by the way, not a good thing to have back then. And then also work with a lot of investors who've done similar things. So I was kind of mentoring them, helping them, coaching, whatever, advising them to do the same. And then the crash came. And that property in East Orlando, which I still own, I bought it for $190 with a tenant. And it was not cash flowing. It was actually horrible cash flow, negative cash flow, right? By design, let's just say by design. And that property for $190, purchased in 2005, got all the way down to $84,500 in 2009. Half, I would say more than half, right? Now, interestingly enough, so I've owned this property since 2005 September, so that makes it 17 years as of the last September. 17 years.
Yeah.
Over that time of those 17 years, it wasn't a pleasant thing to see the value of the property that you purchased goes down 60%. No fun. But I remember telling myself at the time, I said, Danny, this is not a failure. Shut up, suck it up, write it on. You never intended to buy something short-term. You always intended to buy something long-term. There's a big hiccup. Shut up, suck it up, move on. That's exactly the words I used in my mind to kind of overcome, because the minute I saw that, the image of 84,500 on Zillow is kind of, is like, it's here, right? I can't, and maybe conversation like this, resurface it as well. I can't forget it. So that not a pleasant thing to see, but it was rented. I think that the rent even went up, vacancy went down altogether. I knew that, although that wasn't an issue with this one. Over the 17 years that I've had this property, which is now worth 350, maybe a bit more than 350, had 3 tenants in total.
Yep.
Has been vacant in 17 years total of 4 months combined over the 4 months, which is practically zero. By the way, 2 months out of the 4 is my own reason, because between tenant number 2 and number 3, I wanted to just do a little bit more work, paint, kind of freshen it up. So I kept it for a month, a month just to take care of things. So it's even, if I look at the amount of repairs I had done on this property, the cost of them, I would probably be at about $15 a month. You know what? Call it 20. And that means new AC, new HVAC system, new roof, which I didn't pay for. Luckily the insurance company paid for. Paint the entire exterior once, and miscellaneous, a fridge, a faucet. I probably redone, a bathroom for $2,500. But if you average it, I don't think I get to even $20 a month on average for 17 years. So all in all, it's been really, that conversation of, shut up, suck it up, wait, or write it out, to this slogan. That was a really good conversation to have, because it's paid. 2 days ago, I actually calculated how much rent I received from that property. I'm well over $300,000 just in rents collection for that property. That's, and I'm, maybe even more, I was very cautious. That's amazing. Amazing.
So right now we're kind of in a recession, or we've had a lot of months in a row where there's some declining prices. From when you were doing this back in 2005, 2006, 2007, would you have done anything different back then in 2007 before, when you're buying this Orlando property? What would you have done differently?
Absolutely. And not only would I've learned, I sat down right after the crash and kind of decided that I need to do things differently. I would say couple of things that I decided that are super important. And they lead me since 2009-10 when I rethought about things still to today. Number one, a little bit more conservative. The years that I've done before the crash, I was aggressive, very high leverage, negative cash flows by design. This turned out to be not good. So today, I rather buy 5 houses and not 10, to be a little bit more conservative with the leverage, with the cash flow. And that's also when I work with my clients, I tell them about, the same thing. So one thing is a little bit more conservative, and I'm trying to make sure there's always, at least after all realistic expenses, a little bit of cash flow, right? That's the goal. Even it's a buffer, it's a bonus. It's not, I'm not doing it for the cash flow. So that's very, very important. Second thing, how I go about analyzing and evaluating the protocol that I've developed for myself and my clients to analyze and evaluate properties today is 10 times better, more detailed, maybe 20 times than what we did before the crash. So that was an amateur before the crash, and that's more like a pro today, like completely, night and day. I felt that I had to build for myself a tool that will help you make at least a financial decision and a very clear protocol on the quality aspect of the transaction. And it's been working very well for the past 12, 13, 14 years, very well. I have the years to show that, even before COVID, it just works well, no big dramas, all in all. And everything we do in a large scale. So we have not just tested it over 10 properties, it's probably been tested over 3,000 properties or 2,500 properties over time. So that's those are the mainly two things, is a little bit more conservative in cash flow and much, much, much more detailed analysis process or decision-making process. Critical.
Yeah. And one thing you said without saying is you obviously set up long-term financing. So when things do go sideways, you can, as long as you're, as long as you have cash flow or you're at a negative cash flow you're comfortable with, but as long as you can, it'll just keep riding until things get better, right? You haven't lost anything until you sold. You can just, if you've got the long-term financing, you didn't do one of those short-term loans, you can just keep riding this through.
Absolutely. I think those who lost during the crash of 2008 on big time were either people that didn't have the cash coming in to cover for the negative cash flow. I've been in that situation. So that was just bad design of life finances. Those were one type of losers, in the sense lost, houses, etc. And it did happen, of course. The second ones are people who just got nervous for no good reason. I mean, sorry. Yes, for good reason, but honestly, I had many conversations with clients around that time, and I say, be patient, write it out. Same thing, maybe a little bit not so blunt, but the same thing, just be patient. And I still have today either some of those clients who still work with me or others that I see me talk, and they're like, remember you told me or not to do this deal, or remember you told me to write it out. Thank you. I still get those things. A decade later, they remember that I don't want to say saved them, but I gave them that piece of advice that just put things in perspective, and they're like, you know what? I can write it out. I will write it out, and I'll be quiet about it. And they're not just thanking me; they're very happy because those houses did very, very well, right? Very well.
Yeah. No, it makes a lot of sense. And same thing, people do the same thing with the stock market. As soon as it drops, they sell it. And you're like, you're supposed to do the opposite. You're supposed to be selling when you're on the top, not on the bottom, right? People leave the casino when they're at the very bottom, when they've lost the most amount of money. They don't leave when they're at the top.
I'm not much of a stock guy, but
no, me neither.
The biggest year that I purchased stocks most was 2022. I look at the charts. I say, wow, they lost so much. It's a good company. I think it's a good company. Buy, right? Wow, they lost so much in value. It's a really good company. Buy. And I always tell myself, I'm not on the screen. That's it. Buy and forget. I don't care about it in a way. I'm not looking and getting nervous. I'm like quality stock. The same thing with real estate, quality property, good area, long-term buy and hold. You know, it gives you it's a self way to hedge against those crises. When you're just buying quality long-term, crisis will come, maybe even twice in the next decade, who knows, but quality long-term, right? And then you'll probably ride or weather every storm, even if the value goes down, wait.
So what does your business look like now? Like from your story, you started in Phoenix, so it's Arizona. You moved to Fort Worth, which is Texas. You went to Florida, East Orlando. Where are you working now? What are you kind of doing now?
Yeah, so since 2004 to now, I've probably been active, very active in over 35 different US metros. And when I say active, we normally, not personally, me and my clients, when they buy, each one is buying individually. We help them facilitate that. We've done something around 5,000 properties, rental properties over those years. Right, and markets change, right? So the local economy, like Phoenix right now, I'd be happy to go back if it drops. If the numbers start working again, I'll be back gladly. It's not in my world of real estate, it doesn't. Right now, we're very active in Birmingham, Alabama, Kansas City, St. Louis, Nashville are the top four. Kind of dragging behind because the numbers are tighter and tougher, especially with the higher rates, are Houston, Dallas, Fort Worth, Orlando, and Tampa. And hopefully maybe Phoenix will join that group. Again, it's kind of not doing much in those areas just because achieving even a minimal cash flow is very, very difficult with the current rate. Texas is tough because of the property taxes and insurance, so that makes even a higher burden over other markets.
Yeah, so you started listening to the same markets that I work in. So I feel like there's something here. Like we've both done the same kind of research. I'm doing Birmingham, I'm doing Kansas City. We've been looking at St. Louis a lot too. And I haven't really touched Nashville. I thought Nashville was kind of expensive, but anyway.
Nashville or Asheville? What did you hear?
I thought you said Nashville.
Nashville, correct. Yes.
Okay. But anyway, no, I think there's something there. Danny, before I let you go, let's if people want to have contact information or want to know about your company, how you help people in the US or invest in the US, give us a little spiel here.
Right. So my web identity is my company name, which is Simply Do It. Simply Do It. So
I like it.
probably anywhere you'll go, Simply Do It. You know, with
dashes in between.
Real estate. No, I just anywhere like on YouTube, Simply Do It. Twitter, Simply Do It. Instagram, Facebook, website, everything Simply Do It. It's kind of easy, catchy to remember. If someone is listening, you're like, what is this guy with an accent? Oh, Simply Do It. I get it, right? So following that, our website is Simply Do It. Unfortunately, it's .net, not .com, but it's simplydoit.net. Our email is meet, like meeting, but MEET at simplydoit.net. And if you just put Simply Do It in real estate, Google it, I'll probably show up one way or another very quickly. And then reach out. Anybody wants to reach out, just have a conversation, see if this is a good fit, if we can help you, no problem. I'm not there's no books, no tapes, no boot camps, that stuff. We're really about executing, grinding it out.
I love that approach. And I actually love the name. You need to get some t-shirts or something. I'd love to have a t-shirt that says Simply Do It.
Telling my wife I need t-shirts, and she's like,
t-shirts.
Yeah, I'll tell her.
Anyway, Danny, thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. I think there's a ton of value, a lot of takeaways that people can apply from over the years. Your lengthy experience in the United States, I think, is valuable. But thank you for coming on the show.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.